thinking. Now it says we're live. I'm going to shut my door. Okay, Steve Parish and Mark Brower live. We're streaming to YouTube and LinkedIn, and we want to talk about maintenance.
The most
And
stimulating of all conversations on the planet.
yes,
Property
the
management
most
is one thing.
invigorating.
Next level maintenance right here.
Let's go. Hey, and you were at MX Summit and you presented there, and I think I missed it. We didn't meet there, but I was there
Right.
a couple months ago. So, and I'm just honored that you think I have something useful to talk about with maintenance. But I'm sure if I don't solve anything in today's call, which I'm sure I won't, at least we'll better understand the problem, and that's what matters, right?
Well, I guess I don't agree with everything you just said. I think that you will help maybe me to solve a few things. First of all, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate guys like you who kind of live a little bit out here in the public sphere. Some people would think, why does this guy want to post stuff so often? But for somebody like me, who I'm an owner, accidental landlord back when I was 29 years old. So I've been in the industry for a really long time personally, managed and marketed my own stuff and fixed my own stuff. But I didn't I've been in nonprofit for years and didn't step into official property management maintenance until about 2 years ago. And so guys like you who live very publicly allow me to draft. I know you're a big athlete, and drafting is a real thing if you've never done it before on a bike.
Yeah.
And guys like you, I could name a bunch of other guys, just being so public has allowed me in that 2 years, though I understood some of property management, getting the right vernacular, being pointed in the right direction, being able to talk intelligently to my owner and my boss, who took a real chance on hiring me. Guys like you have been an exceptional free education. Thank you. I'm not sending you a check.
Right.
I'm not giving you any money because you did it for free. So thank you.
Happy to do it, man. And you know what?
Yeah.
Here's what I get out of this, because some people think like, what's the angle? So what I get out of this is conversations like the one we're about to have fuel me. They give me energy.
Good,
Number
great.
2, and that's not a small thing. Number 2, I just said A and number 2. There we go. Number 2, they help me clarify my philosophy. And it's one of the most important things we can do as leaders is to better be able to understand what our philosophy is and then be able to articulate that philosophy. So, this is a win-win for me.
Yeah, I'd love to. You had a great conversation that I listened to with the Vendaroo podcast, talking about liquid death. And what was really bizarre about that, I've been working on some stuff for maintenance, and you guys articulated a concept that I didn't know was a concept, but a thing I've been working on, and you're dead on that. It allows you to work through your philosophy or that ethos, that thing that you're really striving for, and it helps you without messing anything up to talk it through so that you perfect it and are able to communicate it much better. So yeah, I love it. I super appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, good. Well, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be able to get to know you a little bit better, Steve. And why don't you guide the conversation? You had some very thought-provoking questions. My disclosure is I'm not on the front lines. I'm not a great technician necessarily. I'm not a great implementer, but I can certainly help clarify the problems and the philosophy behind them. And that's maybe where I'll be able to add some value.
Yeah, if for some of my thoughts to ask you about is maybe let's start off with in your company, how do you guys approach maintenance? Are you have technicians and a director who runs that team? Are you somebody who utilizes outside vendors and that's your angle? Really interested about what you're doing and the tensions you feel between owner and maintenance, if you're handling it with technicians.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, I'd like to go to the root of that question, if that's all right. Just start there. I'm just a very top-down, 30,000 foot guy first. Why does maintenance matter? If we can talk about that first. So my perception of residential third-party fee property management, especially in the SFR space, is that we have a bunch of accidental landlords.
Absolutely.
That do not have the experience and the sophistication often of a really sort of sophisticated investor. And so the approach to this business is very ma and pa mindset, where and you posted this on LinkedIn recently, that they really need a trusted advisor, like a strategic coach, really, to get through this process. And that is so true. And unlike a product where when you buy it, like liquid death, you're holding it in your hand and you're experiencing it in a physical reality. Often with a service, there's not something that we can hold in totality and derive like 90% of the value from the use of that thing, and sort of grade whether we're getting what we paid for or whether our expectations have been met. So in a service business like property management, the touch points become so important, the ongoing touch points. And of course, the onboarding experience is absolutely critical. But then once we're sort of into this routine, the maintenance is almost everything about whether somebody's going to confirm that they're getting what they paid for, or this relationship's meeting their needs, or it's exceeding their expectations. And one of my favorite books is The Speed of Trust by Stephen M.R. Covey, son of the late Stephen Covey. And this idea that in a high trust environment, everyone gets a positive dividend is such a powerful truth to start from. And so with every single maintenance interaction, we're either building or eroding trust. And that's why it's so important. So
spot on. And I can't wait to talk a little bit more about these accidental landlords, having been one, but that might be a whole different conversation. So agreed, 1,000%. So my question for you then is, how are you approaching it and with your team, so we can specifically see your model? And where do you see this? Do you see this evolving? Do you see it going in a new direction? Because radical things have changed. Like one number that Ray Hespin over at Property Meld would give us all would be that from 2019 to today, we're dealing with inflation at 22%. But in the maintenance world, it's up over 80 in some specialty areas. And so what I believe with the accidental landlord is that because those touch points are everything now that they've been onboarded in this maintenance thing that I see happening, it's almost, you have to educate them on the first part is educate them so they understand how expensive things are. And then how do you proceed forward without it being perceived as a money grab? That you are really, I'm here trying to deliver you the best value add I can. And I know you weren't expecting a water heater that 30 years ago was $5, and now it's, in my area, it's $3,200 for some plumbing companies. It's crazy. And so how do you have a conversation without just interested in those pain points that you guys experience?
Yeah, there's a lot we can talk about here. So let's unpack this. Number one, we've been around for 15 years. For most of that 15 years, we handled maintenance with all third-party vendors. Here's why. I studied econ for my undergrad. I went back and got an MBA in 2008. And what was drilled into my head by all my econ professors over and over and over was incentives drive behavior. And so the very thing that you mentioned about this being a money grab is I never wanted to be in a position where I just told my clients, hey, trust me, I'm a good person. I'm going to do the right thing here. Like baloney, like show me the incentive structure. And so I was really sort of, and I'd heard about the property management companies that had in-house maintenance, or they had like captive companies or whatever. And I said, not us. We're going to take the high road, what I thought at the time was the high road. And so it was all third party. But then, as you know, there's enormous cost control pressure in this business.
Enormous.
Enormous. And it's all, like a lot of it, like some of it's on the property management fees, right? And then the rest of it is like heavy on maintenance. And so, so here on this side, we have a property manager that needs to do their job. And if you don't spend enough with the right maintenance providers, it's just a revolving door of forgive the expression, the chuck in the truck. That's like, maybe, like maybe you got a good one and they're loyal to you, but then like they don't have any, there's no slack. There's like, when they're busy, they're busy. Or, when they don't have enough work, they're looking at you like, man, I'm giving you good rates. Where's my work? And so it's tough. Right. And so, and then it's a revolving door. Like landscape providers and cleaners are like some of the most flaky. And so So you want to deliver exceptional living experience for residents, because we know, and Ray Husband would agree, that this is such a massive impact to the bottom line for the landlord in tenant retention, doing maintenance properly, right? But on this side, we want to like meet the expectations of our clients to keep costs low. So for most of the last 15 years, we've had third-party vendors only because of what I perceive as a slightly misplaced emphasis on the fact that I'm going to prove to my clients this is not a money grab by never having in-house maintenance. I abandoned that idea 2.5 years ago. Here's why, because I had to still reconcile the whole incentive structure thing. So here's what I did. We're going to run an experiment 2.5 years ago. We're going to start a maintenance division. We're going to start a separate maintenance company, totally third party, not baked into Mark Brower Properties. Has its own ownership, its own LLC, its own balance sheet, its own P&L, and its own client base, of which Mark Brower Properties is one.
Okay.
And so,
there we go.
So I told my partner when I went into business with him, I said, this is a non-negotiable for me. My property managers will never be forced to use you. You must earn the business. You must earn the business. And so that made me feel a little bit better, like that I could honestly represent to my owners, like this is a third party, arm's length, preferred vendor, just like any other preferred vendor. We have some insight because now I can help influence pricing, quality, and timing. So that's useful, and you're not forced to use them. So this doesn't become some monopoly or some kind of, totalitarian like system where the cost, the efficiency, and the cost just spiral out of control. That's what we're running right now. But I will tell you, there is constant tension between my partner running that business and, hey, why didn't we get that turn? Why didn't we get that job? And so, I sort of have to police that a little bit and say, this isn't how this works. You have to earn it every single time.
Right. Well, what I think this leads right into some things I'm working on personally. Like if you had a couple of years, because what I see, let me go back to earlier in the discussion, you mentioned that pressure between the owner and you, the company, trying to keep prices low. It's almost like friends and family pricing. There's that tension to do that, to deliver at a below market rate. I think a lot of property management companies historically have treated the maintenance as a necessary evil. We have to do it, but it's not a winning proposition. It becomes an expense line in the rental department. And one of the, I think, genius things that our owner did prior to me coming here is break it out. Now, the challenge with breaking it out, still under the umbrella of the company, is that for it to really run successfully as its own entity, now you run into the pressure of pricing, because we're about 40% cheaper for our friends and family, because you got to deliver on that level than if I was actually in the marketplace solely public facing. And these are the tensions that I feel that, okay, if we're going to be a truly function out there at a level at which we would charge, then I think the pushback from the owners is going to be significant, because we deliver at it's about 40% less, the hourly rate, even though we're really high. So I love that you're doing that. I got a question for you with that. If there was a company that came to you, you didn't have to start a company, local company that understands property management and was able to tailor products for Mark Brower Company, rentals and real estate and all that, would you have started your own company? In other words, they could already deliver to you, like, for example, one thing that the world doesn't do, but we need an inspection that breaks out chargebacks and, for a turn. That's a very unique type of product. If it was a company local that could have marketed to you and delivered at a good price point, would that have been a value add in your role? Because normally you, as a rental company, you need about 10 vendors to pull off everything. What if it was one-stop shopping? Like there was a company that was focused on property management that could deliver to property management companies in the maintenance realm?
Yeah, no question. The answer would be yes. In fact, we were looking for that for years. Well, like, why isn't there a general contractor out there that would just sort of like tailor fit, what we need for move out inspections? We'd save a bunch of money. Heck, we'd even pay them $100 per inspection just to write up the quote. And maybe the owner would even agree to pay that as like an estimate fee for the turn. And so the answer to that is yes, of course, that would be wonderful. Never found it, doesn't exist in my market that I know of. And so then we thought, oh, well, then we'll create that. We'll become
That's
that solution for other property
Yeah.
managers, and that's what we started doing.
Yes.
And we have, like, I think 5 core customers in our company. It's called BT Property Services. And that's the other part, by the way, of that incentive structure reconciliation in my own mind. Like, if an owner challenges me, hey, this is a money grab, not only do my property managers not have to use you, we are a full, like, third party company doing this for other property managers, which, by the way, most of them put on a 20% markup, and we put on 0 markup for you, our clients. Okay. So that totally defeats that argument. Like, this is a money grab. But here's my problem, Steve. And I've been at this for over 2.5 years now. We, in order to add the layer of dispatch, project management, and field superintendent quality control, in order to do the job the way we want to do it,
right,
that overhead layer puts such a burden on the margin that, in my experience, and I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but in my experience so far, it has been almost impossible to turn a reasonable profit. So for us, there's this tremendous pressure, and also, I'll add, there's a seasonality to it. For us, for that company, BT Property Services, the margin is in the turns. It's just the break fix stuff, we're break even or we're losing money. Like no question in my mind. So it's in the turns because we can get a guy there for all day. There's less driving, back and forth. He can get all the materials there. And if we do it really efficiently, like, we can actually make a little bit of profit on the turns. Well, those are, for the most part, May through August, and so the true story, I've never shared this before. Last November, a year ago today, we were bleeding cash at like $20,000 to $30,000 a month in that maintenance company. And by the time we got to January, my partner, I love this guy, he's amazing, had such bad hives, like shingles all over his body, stress induced. He wasn't sleeping. And he was just like breaking down physically. And we were having these conversations about, we're shutting this company down. and then here's the conclusion we came to. This is the story of this year. We came to the conclusion January, February, like, all right, man, we got to shut this thing down, but we'd be stupid not to just go through the summer, because that's where we make our money back. And then we're going to close this down in August. We're going to close this down in September. And then, so that was the plan. And then, like, by March, April, we thought, like, wow, what if we could do what every other smart home services company has done?
Here we go. This is the big answer right here.
And go after actually profitable retail business.
Well, that's the thing that I've been thinking about, and I've talked with our owners. His name's Chris Barber, just an exceptional person. And just for the fact that he took a chance on me, or I'm coming out of a nonprofit, and he's looking for a silver bullet, and you don't know when you hire somebody. What we've talked about since day one is that we have a limited pond that we fish in with our maintenance team, but they can do everything that any general maintenance, we're general contractors, really. And I could send our guys out all day long to an unlimited ocean worth of work.
Yes.
And that is, I've stressed over and over and over that property management companies, they can make some money, but this industry, we could make a fortune. There's just a lot of money. People, and so I think that's,
you were talking my language, man. This is exactly like, so then the whole mission changed. My mission was like, I'm bringing this thing in house, so I have the control, the quality, the speed, like, this better serves my clients. I'm doing it arm's length, all this stuff. And then it's like hitting my head against the wall for 2.5 years, making $0 profit. And still having clients complain about the cost. And looking at the open market that we will pay 50% more for what we're doing. And then I met a guy, one of the people that you would have name dropped at the beginning of this recording, I'm sure, it was Peter Lohman, who lives out in the open and just
drafting that guy. Love the network of people he has, man.
Tremendous value.
I get up early on Fridays to be able to read the newsletter.
Isn't he great?
What's going on, because, man, he has introduced me without knowing it to so many things.
I love Peter. Great. Yes. So Peter Lohman, I still pinching myself. In January of this year, he invited me to a mastermind group, a small group of dudes in their 30s, way smarter than me, in La Jolla, and I show up. I'm the dumbest guy there, which is like if I can humbly say it, it's unusual for me, but it was super refreshing. And like I was like soaking everything up. I met a guy there, and a lot of these guys were like special forces militaries or CIA agents. There was 2 actual CIA agents telling real stories. It was like fantastic. Anyway, one of the guys I met there, ex-Marine, and he had grown a home services business from 0 to 24 million annual revenue in 4 years. In 4 years till present. Started in 2021, I think.
Yeah,
and it was in 3 locations. And you know that book Who Not How by Dan Sullivan?
Yeah,
I know that book. Yeah. So as my partner and I, Les, are thinking about like we're going to shut this company down, or like the only way this could survive, like that's it, man. Property management's for the birds. Like there's no profit in this. So we're going to go retail. Like, well, who's the who that if we could recruit them to help us grow this thing? Who? And I thought back to this guy. So we called him up. He agreed to advise us, not cheap, $3,000 for once a month phone call, for an hour phone call, and like some supplemental stuff, right? And as our top line revenue grows, that number grows. Yeah. But guess what? Since we've been working with this guy, and since we adopted this strategy that, hey, property management's the launch pad, it's barely covering our bills.
Right.
We're gonna transition to a full retail remodeling plumbing company. And then it's like that. Okay, now 60% of 5 million people are our potential customer.
Absolutely.
So we wrapped the vans, we put the website together. His son is autistic. That's what we're doing this for, like to create a legacy and a future for him. Absolutely. And like now the whole thing and getting this advisor on board, it just unlocked everything for us. And now we can see that we're like, we've got this path. So we're going to be up like
love it.
30 our revenue is going to be up 40% year over year this month. And like, we're actually viable through the slow time now. So then the question is, well, what am I going to do to serve my property management clients when their biggest risk, right, in the quality service is that everybody else is willing to pay retail for this. Right. That's it.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah. That's a real tension point. And to be honest with you, I think that's where it's going. It's got to go there, because the idea of taking a huge loss in maintenance for the sake of accidental landlords, because that's where it's going to change. Right now, you've got a bunch of people living at 2-3% on their interest rates. They don't want to give that up. But in order to be able to help them transition as a property management company, you have to step into a brand new space with these people to help them to understand it's not the monthly cash flow. It's not your monthly profitability. You're playing a longer game. 100%. And also to help them to understand why only have one. You should have 2, 3, 4, 5. Why not have 10 people paying for 9 of your houses by the time you get to the finish line? And so I think that then, property management takes a little bit different of a picture, turning those accidental landlords into actually investors. I think
generational wealth builders.
Yes. So I just love where you went with in your brain, because that's where my brain is racing. And I see the property management angle of maintenance becoming a service to people, a service to investors. For me, I feel like the last couple of years really learning what our property management team needs allows me to craft some products that become very, very valuable to not only deliver maintenance, but educate those owners on what does the future look like? What are you going to need to do?
Love it.
Long-term stuff. But I think that really the revenue is out there in the public space. And for us not to do that, I know it takes it takes a who to be able to do that. But I think just surviving, keep maintenance within a property management company, at least I feel this way, is a break-even proposition. And if you could just break even, it's one of the questions I had for you was, if you could just break even, it is like a huge win to me, because I've run the numbers, I've crunched the numbers. There is no way to be profitable. Not in this setting that way.
So let me introduce, if Matthew Whitaker, who owns Evernest,
follow him online too.
Yep. If he was on this call, because I've heard him say this before, he would say, well, hold on, guys. Hold on. At Evernest,
Yeah.
We were running a 15 million annual revenue maintenance division that was profitable because we did one thing really well. And Matt, if somehow by some stroke of like some miracle you listen to this section or somebody sends it to you, correct me if I'm wrong here in the comments, please. His mantra was work 40 hours, bill 38. And but here's the thing. He didn't have this whole project management dispatch layer. It was like super, super, super lean layer of like one in-house coordinator. They were plugged directly into the property management software, and they were employees. And it was the responsibility of the technicians to bill 38 hours. And to me, it's almost like you're telling the first year law associate, you have to bill 40 hours a week, figure it out. And then if there's pushback, we'll deal with it. In my mind, there's no possible way, forgive me, Matt, there's no possible way that you can have a technician actually bill 38 hours a week when they're working 40 hours a week.
Except I'm going to break your mind here in a second. I'm going to push back against that a little bit. Okay. You want me to jump in with this thought?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So one of the things that I walked in when I got hired, we were time and materials, and I began to crunch the numbers. On average, a guy can work 2,040 hours based on, all availability. And my owner is incredibly generous. Our guys get 13 holidays and right out of the gate, 18 PTO days. So they got 31 days off before I ever start. And I'm like, how am I ever going to make money? So what I began to do immediately, and again, I want to give him credit. He gave me the freedom to do this. About 75% of the jobs that I now do are all bid. I present a bid and they get accepted. Just like you can't get a plumbing company in my area to come out.
100%.
What they do is they throw a number
won't do it. Nope.
Yeah. So what I have to do then afterwards, my team does this. It's very labor intensive, but behind the scenes, we reconcile every job. So I can tell you on every move out, what's my hourly rate that I'm able to earn on every bid job. Also, we do a lot of property surveys and turns. And so when I go back to that owner, I actually present a line item bid and let them cross off whatever they don't want. But built into that time, I have technicians with, brace yourself, 140 and 150% utilization rates. I've got 2 of them. Every one of my technicians at this point bills up over 100%. Our average is about 108 with our technicians because of all of that bid work. And so that's actually how I've been able to turn that around. But what I will still say is, with a layer like you said of just me showing up, if we weren't doing good before I got here, now we're really not doing good because I'm not free. I mean, you get to pay for the eye candy here a little bit. So, my skills are nothing. It's just the good hair. That's what everybody wants. They want this on their website. So,
yeah, that's right. Let's go.
So
put it on the truck.
Yeah, totally. Like, hey, call us. But the challenge is in that layer up there. And so with that layer, because it does take great leadership and for what I'm describing, such a heavy administrative, and we have RTMs that we use and that we've been able to train really well, but it is a heavy lift on that other side. And so our overhead, Profit Coach has been going through our numbers, and I'm trying to figure out how to bring some of those numbers down because it's been, heavy on that side. I mean, the technicians are doing great. It's just the cost of me and a few other people to make this all work have added to the complexity of profitability. So
we have to run it so lean in property management. It's like you just got to set up this really effective system, strip out the administration. And I don't know what that means. You got laser focus on, we do this and we never do this. We do this, we never do. And whatever falls outside that box, and the property manager's got to scramble and find some third party person. Like the fee pressure is enormous in maintenance costs. Or, you got to, not fee, but the cost of maintenance pressure is enormous with landlords.
Yeah, for sure. I say often, when I walk into like a leadership team meeting, there are easier ways to make money. Yes. But this is what we have chosen. So let's go. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
I saw you post that. I'm like, there's something wrong with that statement.
It's true though.
There's a way to stop this headache.
Stop banging your no, but I've been involved with lots of things in life. I have a lead coordinator. She just had a baby. And of course, we want to give her the time off. And I was also onboarding a couple of coordinators. So I took over her job. And in order to triage as a lead coordinator, but just to set things in motion, there are so many nuances in our company. We don't have a real narrow lane of the properties we serve. It's a pretty wide lane, different maintenance limits, different types of properties. Some owners do their own work, so you have to, the triage is really heavy. And I have open at any one time about 300 melds or work orders for people who don't use property meld. So, I mean, there's a lot coming our way all the time. And I've described it, being a lead coordinator is like having a confetti gun shot in your face. And your job is to grab the different colors of paper that are also numbered, by the way, and stack them in order before they hit the ground.
Yeah.
And I am telling you, like I have to invent new things because I haven't been in the industry that long. And then I'll talk with my owner. He's like, "Oh, Steve, that's already a thing." I'm like, "Dang it. You mean the wheel was already created? How did I not know this?" And I discovered that through you guys, listening to you guys. But the numbers of levers that are involved with property management and especially maintenance it makes the space shuttle look like a child's toy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I do look forward to the day of turning around outside to the public as well and just picking up the phone. "Oh, hello, sir. Oh, you want me to come fix your toilet? Oh, yes, that's going to be $582 for a new toilet. You want me to come? Great. Okay, we'll be there in 10 minutes. All right." And then when that phone call is done and we go and we replace the toilet, whether he loves us or hate us, we leave and it's all even from that moment. I owe you nothing. I don't know you. If you call me back, you know what you're going to get. But I don't have to worry about how you're mad that one time that 32 years ago that water spilled,
Oh, thank you, Steve. Thank you. You know this business well already. Nice.
Oh, I'm telling you what. Seriously, there are easier ways to make money, but this is what we have chosen. So let's freaking go. I mean, that's what you have to just look at it, race into the fire and go for it. So
that's exactly where we're at. Yeah. It's really, and you know what? I think here's one of the silver linings that's really been a blessing to my life. The people who last in property management are the salt of the earth. Like, I love this industry because you have to be like almost saintly to last in this business, because of all the reasons you just know. It's so complex and it's so underappreciated. And like, why would you do this if you weren't like slightly like codependent?
Well, let me tell you a beautiful story. The reason why I started working for this company, I was coming out of nonprofit. I'm still heavily involved with all of that, but I just really felt, I do this thing every November. I call it November Fast. A lot of people will do it January 1st. They want to get their minds straight on, whether it's physically or business wise or spiritually, they want to get dialed in. What does this year have? And they do it on January 1st. And I've always thought to myself, that's kind of like training for a marathon on mile 1 of the marathon. So every November, 21 days, I take some time to really focus. And 2 years ago, I just had a very strong sense of marketplace. You need to go back to the marketplace. And I'm like, how would I design my resume to even get a job? I've been doing nonprofit for 35 years, even though I've had this side hustle in all that I've done with property. And I was shocked. Went into December, I created a resume. Of course, I'm very property minded and very maintenance minded, and I've done some consulting with nonprofit buildings and stuff. And so I landed 4 jobs. One of them I want to brag on. It was putting together lawnmowers in the back room at Home Depot. It was very exciting. It was about $23 an hour, and I could wear earbuds. I could have that job. I was excited that somebody wanted me. That was the first job I landed. I didn't say yes, but I was excited. I'm in demand. Like, I'm highly needed here. The world still needs me. Second job was Sherwin-Williams with a degree. You walk right into management. I got some friends that work there. The third job was selling roofing house products, walking into people's homes and selling. That was the lucrative one. That was big. But the fourth one, I applied at my company where I work now because it's local. and it caught my eye because I understand maintenance, but they weren't looking for a director. They were actually looking for technicians. So it was kind of one of those things that I was like, well, we'll just see what happens. Maybe I can graduate from the lawnmower to the toilets. Maybe I can toilets. That's what I want to do. And what compelled me was the owner was second generation. His dad had started the company in 1979. And it captured me, man. I was like, okay. And the beautiful thing is if I don't accomplish anything else at this company, I had the great privilege of hiring the third generation to come to work for me, his son.
Oh,
And
nice.
that kid has come in. He was my who. You know what I mean by that? You mentioned the book before. I needed a who, and I discovered his skill set. He was a kid that worked for us in our maintenance department before I got there. And he had all these 5-star Google reviews. Like he was the leader in all that stuff. And yet if you talk to some people, it's like he lacked a little bit of ambition and motivation. And I found out he's out in the industry selling roofing. He left our company. Check this out. 24, 25 years old, left our company, maybe making $24 an hour. And within 9 months, he had made $100,000 selling stuff. Okay. And I was like, ooh. I talked with the owner. I said, that's what I need. I need a salesperson, because we were doing these inspections and handing them to the property managers as contractual. We got to get eyes in there, take pictures, and make sure everything's running well. But out of the ones that we had done, there was a 5% approval rate to do any work.
What?
No. So what was happening, and you'll understand this, that sometimes people look at this big bill of things that need to be done, and they don't want to deliver that to the owner because it's bad news in their mind.
Of course.
For me, it's not bad news. It's what I need to know. So I'm not sure what was happening, but I was like, I need somebody who's going to deliver this information and posture it in a way. This is good news. You have a wonderful investment. We want to increase its value. We want to up the rental rate. We want to deliver for your future. You don't want this house to tip over and fall apart. You want it to be standing when you hand it to your grandkids, right?
Yes.
So because he was in sales, I was like, I need to meet this kid. So I went to the owner and I asked permission. I want to meet him. And I asked him a question. I said, I know he was working here before. I don't know all the reasons why not, but do you dream of him working here in the future? He said, every day. And it was at that moment, it was like I could hear the freaking Rocky theme playing in the back of my head. I'm like, this is why you are here. Yeah. And so I got on the horn. I introduced myself. His name's Jordan. And I called him up, and we just went out to eat. I says, hey, listen, I hear you're doing great. I work for your dad. I just want to meet you. I heard a lot of great things about you. Also have something that might interest you, but I hear you have a great job. So well, he shows up dressed like he's going to sell something to me. He's got his clipboard. I'm like, dang, we're just having lunch. And I asked him this question. I said, I hear you're doing great. He's like, yeah, I'm doing really well. Very humble kid. I said, do you dream about working for your dad? He said, every day. And I was like, oh gosh, this is the moment. And what's been beautiful, this kid has driven $400,000 worth of work into our pockets. Not only has we didn't originally, before he started, and as I hired him right after I started, we weren't doing all the inspections that they only did 100 in a year, and we have to do 500. So we were missing 400. So we're going to hit that mark this year, 500. Approval rate, 90%.
What?
90% approval. There's work that we do on 90%. Now get ready for this. That's an average. Let me give you the average of the approval. The average approval, $700 additional over the $195 inspection fee.
Wow.
Let me tell you that real one, because we do it as a team bid work. I've trained him and the team to do estimates, and he already knew how to do it. So it was really, really good fit. Hourly rate, our normal hourly rate that we charge is $95 an hour. You know what our hourly rate is on that? And I hope no owners are watching this, because this is going to get me in big trouble. Chris, I apologize. I got to be careful about this. $175 an hour.
There's a profit margin in that number.
Yeah. Well, but what it's done is, for me, now we're talking about those margin numbers, is that I can only by billable hours make about $1 million a year. And this year we will generate right around 1.3 When I started with the team, they brought in $875,000 the year before I started.
Wow, that's a big
Last
win.
year, we almost hit 1.2 my first year, and then
Yeah.
second year, we're gonna probably hit 1.3, but I've told Chris, our owner, I said, "I'm telling you, this has been Herculean, and this is about as high as I can get it. We're so dialed in now that it's vapor improvement. In other words,
Yeah.
another real heavy lift, and there's so little bit of bone left on that,
Yeah.
or a little bit of meat left on that bone. This is, and the other problem I'm going to have is now that we've got through all of the delayed maintenance, I expect actually
A little bit
profitability to
down.
go
Yeah.
down. So now I have to lean up even more. It's like, oh gosh, yeah, it's so challenging.
Steve, when you were sharing that story about Jordan, which is a beautiful story, by the way, and I saw you
Yes, I
light
love it.
up, and it's
Yeah,
like
I love that.
you're a mission driven guy. You're my kind of leader. That's amazing.
Yeah.
For some reason, and this might sound a little abstract, I remember a year ago, I was with my family in New Orleans, just random. We'd never been to New Orleans. Let's go see what's going on in New Orleans. And we're walking in the French Quarter, and we're walking down a street, and I look down like this little alleyway between the buildings, and we're just kind of exploring. And I wander into this shop, which I find out is a museum that this company put together, and they make gas lanterns, which are all over the French Quarter in New Orleans.
Yep.
And in this shop, there's an actual craftsman making a lantern live right in front of you.
Wow.
And when you look around the room, you see the story of the last 130 years of this company.
Yeah.
And the technician is super skilled, super friendly, and loves talking about the story. And I find out from talking to this guy that 70% of the lamps in the French Quarter are from this company. And I said, well, how do I distinguish which ones are yours or not? And he says, all the ones still working are ours. And it was such a beautiful moment for me, because I thought, this is worth trading the best hours of my day and the best days of my life for.
Right.
Doing something that's worth creating a museum around, or doing something that honors something way greater than me, or way greater than that we engage in this voluntary self-sacrifice to work that's worthy. And in the process, we become, it's what the work does to us, not what we bring to the work. And we become something uncommon. And that's worth building a legacy and a museum around. And that story of you bringing Jordan back into the business, just like, that's beautiful.
What I love about it is it's not my story. I'm a player in that story for a moment. And I'm grateful to be involved with that. Steve, the dad, Steve Barber, he's still around. I manage some of his properties personally, the maintenance on them, because he likes to do it old school. So I gotta take care of Steve. Every time I get done with a phone conversation with Steve, I always try to finish it this way, because I think that, and I see you do this, and so it's probably why it's just a great opportunity to be able to talk to you. I want people to walk away after I've had a conversation with them, having gotten way more than they ever anticipated. I want to make a deposit into people. I want them to believe a better future after they work with me. They talk with me. And Steve, every time I hang up the phone with him, and as the original owner, I'm going to tell you what, this guy pinches nickels, although he's got stacks of money probably tipping over in his closet. Okay. But he's wired that way. So when I work with him, it's a little bit, I have to work. Okay. I'm going to say it that way. I got to work. But every time I get done with him, I say, hey, I just want to thank you. I was able to make my mortgage payment this last week because you started a company in 1979 with your family around a card table. Thank you for what you've done. We are grateful. And I think that, that's we just get to be a part of one another's stories. And if we can improve story, I don't know, maybe they'll fire me today. Who knows? I got a meeting later on. And, if they do, my plan is to say, thank you for the opportunity. I'll tell you this. I've gone to college for free and they paid me to go to college. Like, I have learned so much that if for some reason I were to make a change, I'll walk out of these doors.
Heck yeah, man.
And I've got about 10 companies that are on fire on the inside of me that I want to start, because of the things I've seen, and the dream of, like you probably have. I don't dream of making more money. I dream of employing more people.
Yes.
I dream of bettering their life. I
Yeah.
dream of them making more money,
Yeah.
because if they're making more money, I'm making more money. I
Yes.
just
Yeah.
can't turn
Yeah.
that off.
I dream of doing more important work with people that I just love.
Yeah.
And there's so many people out there that I have yet to meet that I'm just going to love, and we're going to partner in some way. And when that fuels you, it's like
That's so
I
good.
used to do a lot of running, and it was like, how do I fall in love with the process? Well, this is how I fall in love with the process. I fall in love with the process by hiring people to do the stuff that drains my energy, and all that's left is things
Right.
that fuel my energy. And then I get to meet awesome people that I love, that we get to partner, and we get to make people's lives better. Our purpose here, which I don't know if you've heard me say this before. I mean, there's no question we live in a broken world, and one of the contribution that we have towards helping this world heal is when someone builds wealth, it magnifies their character. I really believe that. It makes you more of who you are.
Yeah.
So
Well,
our stewardship, it's almost like a religious thing for me. I believe work in its true form is an act of love. It's service using our gifts and talents. And what we have the honor of doing is hopefully helping people build wealth, which is directing more resources into the hands of good people who then at a micro level build better families, better communities, better churches, better schools. And that's worth it. You know,
totally. Yeah, you're spot on. That's the mission in life.
Yes.
Yeah. So. I love that. Love that you communicate it that way. It's so valuable. Can I ask you a different question, kind of along the same line? I want to ask you this question, because I know your background a little bit would be similar to mine. As an owner, I've had the luxury. I don't even know if my boss knows this, but because of my nonprofit work, a lot of times it brought me into close contact with business owners, and there would be times where I'd be invited in. I think you're probably the same way. I'm a culture engineer. That's huge for me. Culture is everything, because trees, plants, whatever can grow if they're in the right culture, and people are the same way. Creating environments, it's more than missional things that are on the wall, right? It's those words, if they're just on the wall, if they don't get into the room, this incubator that we're all trying to function in is less than ideal. I had some bushes that I planted at my house, and I planted a whole row in the back, and then a row in the front. And the ones in front of the house thrived. They got 8 feet tall. And for about 5 years, the ones in the back never got over a foot. I'm telling you, and it was just, believe it or not, was the amount of sunlight. And so people thriving in the right environment, that's why culture is so, so, so important. And so I'm kind of interested in two things about because you're who you are. Like, you walk into the room and the room temperature changes because you don't hide who you are. You're not passive. You walk in, and that has a great impact. That you'll never turn that off. But I want to know, like, how intentional you are about that. And the second thing is, in going to a lot of the environments that I've been into business, I've been in some where those owners have a good, strong foundation of faith, but some of them really struggle with, how do I function within my company and within my faith in a way, understanding that everybody in my company is maybe not a person of faith. And there's a tension for a lot of people. And I've seen both extremes, like where it's like a prayer meeting at the start of every workday. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. And then I keep it completely separate. I'm very interested in that idea with you, culture, and also how faith plays a role, that tension of balancing your faith in that workplace, a company that you own.
Wow. I love this topic, Steve. I think for the first so I've been in business for 15 years. For the first 12, 13 years, I was never ashamed of my faith. It's so integral to who I am. I spent 2 years of my life in Taiwan spreading Christianity, and I go to church every Sunday, and I'm very active. I serve, and it's really a core part of who I am. But I felt like there was this, like almost like this wall between faith and work. What I wanted to do, Steve, was I wanted to be respectful for everyone, toward everyone who worked with me.
Right.
And not only just respectful, but I never, ever, ever wanted anyone to feel like I was using religion, or specifically in my case, I was using Christ to manipulate them into working harder or being more loyal to me than they should
Right.
have. To
Right.
me, that was not what I wanted it to be. But now looking back, I was overdoing it. I was being
Yeah.
overly respectful to the point where I put my candle under a bushel,
Yep.
and something changed a couple years ago. And I don't know if you've noticed on LinkedIn and Facebook or whatever, one of the first things I put, or it's
Follower of
definitely on the
Christ,
title, is I'm
right
a
at the top.
follower of Christ.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's not going to resonate with everybody.
Well, for some people, they're going to be back up and be like, I'm not going to interact with that guy because they don't know what it means.
And
Maybe.
here's the thing. I wasn't okay with that for a long time. I was
Yep.
like, no. I got to make sure that I'm still available to those people that might not like Christ.
Yep.
And then I realized one day, like, wait a second. Everything I do is imbued and fully integrated with this belief that I have in Christ.
Absolutely.
And so if I don't say it and they find out later and they're not resonating with that, I just wasted their time and my time.
Totally.
Right. And
Totally.
so let's just put it out front and let the people fall in or fall out just by being more open and honest about it.
Totally. I love that. You know what I do? I don't own the company, obviously. And so I have a little bit more of nobody's told me this, but I really try to be careful. But what I do, because I'm so involved with people's lives, I have people showing up at my church that work with me. And I'm always like, okay, I got to teach you a thing. It's called hats. And at work, I'm wearing boss hat. Now, you're going to find with me, I'm very transparent and I'm the same no matter where I go. I am leading the team based on strong faith principles of work. Okay. I don't have to quote a scripture, but I am helping you to become a better employee by some of the things that I've grown to not just believe. I mean, they're infused in who I am. I can't turn them off. So, but there are times where I've had technician breaking down and holding on to the steering wheel with a panic attack, like hanging by a thread. Another guy whose wife was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Okay. If you love your employees, and I think that takes a little while maybe, but like if you really care about your team and you love them and you have that moment, I'm like, hey, listen, I've had somebody recently ask me a question. I said, okay, hold on. I'm not sure how to answer this. Are you asking boss hat? Or are you asking friend hat? Or are you asking, some other hat here? Okay. And that person said, no, I need that guy. I said, okay, here we go. And I said, okay, so you want me to pray for you right here and now? Because I believe that this should change. And I believe it can change. And this person was also a person of faith or a person who's dabbling in faith. Let's put it that way. And I that's the way I've navigated it as an employee. And I certainly know that I've never offered to that. If I could see that the door is pretty wide open, but I do have to articulate it in terms of that. Because believe it or not, in nonprofit, my kids have worked for me. I've actually, I've planted a ton of churches, been involved on a very high level with church planting and pastoring. And so my kids who have become adults, I've been their dad, I've been their pastor, I've been their boss. I've hired every one of my kids at some point in time. I've had to lay every one of them off at some point. And it gets really confusing if they don't understand who am I talking to right now. It's one of the reasons why I have Jordan, who is Chris's son, in the office. He's not dad. You refer to him as, I joked, Mr. Barber. He won't do that, but he does refer to him as Chris, so that everybody can understand when you're an employee and when you're a son. And although they always overlap, culturally, we want to make sure that we distinguish what we're doing. But that's beautiful. So I appreciate that transition for you. I was interested because I've also been in some other companies where a good friend of mine, he was running his company and really felt like he needed to keep it separate. And I was like, but there is no separation in life. There's no such thing for a spiritual person who the thing I'm about to do is not spiritual.
No, it's not.
It really is. The who, not how. I've literally had to dip in and say, Lord, I need a who, and I don't know where to find them. I'm not in this industry. I can't go to LinkedIn and find the 72 previous contacts of guys who work for me. I poached a girl one day out of Les Schwab. I watched her behind the counter. She was cutting my tires. I didn't know I signed up to get my tires siped. I didn't know. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, she explained what she was doing. And I watched her in that environment do 100 things and super impressed. And I laid my card down at the table. I said, this is going to sound a little bit weird, but I need a who, and I think you are the who. And we onboarded her. And what I explained, Jordan driving that $400,000 in that department, actually, we trained her to do it. She left Les Schwab. She now does inspections. She gives estimates. She's actually the one closing the deal with the owners on the phone.
Nice.
In 1.5 years. And so anyways, I don't know how I'm all over the map. I just get excited talking about stuff, but I appreciate that perspective from you that, that when your faith has to be a part of it, even though that maybe possibly you're maybe not necessarily at quoting scripture and having a prayer meeting, but that it
we do.
Everything.
We don't do the prayers, but we talked about the parable of the talents in last two company meetings ago. So
awesome.
So
love it. Well, I probably have wore you out. I know you have a company to run. I appreciate you inviting me.
This was great, Steve. Yeah, I'm so glad you hit me up, and we didn't cover all the topics, but we certainly opened up the problem a little bit more. And I'm just grateful to be in the same industry as you and fight and trying to add value and loving on our team and loving on our clients. It's so good.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the time, and I'll hit you up again when I have some more. I've got more questions for you. So
I'm here. Thanks, Steve.
Awesome.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.